जय धन्यवाद प्रणाम। आज प्रभुपाद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर जी का तिरुभाव तिथि है। तो हम लोग मेरे गुरु महाराज श्रील भक्ति गोस्वामी सोन गोस्वामी महाराज जी का ग्रंथ प्रभुपाद श्रील सरस्वती ठाकुर वहां से पढ़ेंगे। चैप्टर 25th chapter, Srila Prabhupada's instructions and directives prior to his disappearance pastime. On the 23rd December 1936, 8 days before the concealment of his manifested pastimes, Prabhupada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur gave the instructions and directives written below to his disciples. Quoted. I have given anxiety to many people as I have been compelled to speak genuinely truthful words, and as I have told people to worship Hari without any hypocrisy. There are possibly many people who even consider me to be an enemy, so that they may become eager to perform the sincere service of Sri Krishna and feed from other desires and deceitfulness. I have given various types of anxieties to numerous people. One day or another, they will certainly be able to understand this. With great enthusiasm, preach the words of Sri Rupa Raghunath to everyone. Our ultimately desirable object is to become the dust at the lotus feet of the followers of Sri Rupa. All of you remain united in allegiance to the Ashray Vigraha, spiritual master, in order to satisfy the senses of the transcendental entity of non-dual knowledge. Everyone with the sole view of worshipping Hari will carry on life in this temporary two-day material existence in any way possible. Do not give up the worship of Hari even amidst hundreds of dangers, hundreds of insults, or hundreds of persecutions. Do not become unenthusiastic upon seeing that the majority of the people in this world are not accepting the message of Krishna's sincere worship. Never give up the audition and glorification of the topics of Krishna. They are your own personal worship, bhajan, and your very all in all. Being humble like a blade of grass and patient like a tree, constantly glorify Hari. We are nurturing a desire to dedicate this good-for-nothing body in the Sankirtan sacrifice of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and his associates. We are not at all desirous of any heroism in fruitive actions, karma, or religious, dharma, but our real condition is to be the dust at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Prabhu, birth after birth. This is our all in all. The line of Bhakti Vinod Dhara, will never be closed. With even more enthusiasm, you should become engaged in preaching the desire of Bhakti Vinod's heart. Amongst you, there are many capable and accomplished men. We have no other desire at all. These are our only words. Adadana strinang dantairidang yaje punah punah Srimad Rupavadam bhojai bhoja dhuli san janma janmani. Taking a blade of grass between my teeth, I fall down and again pray that I may become the dust at the feet of Srimad Rupa, birth after birth. There are various types of inconveniences while staying in this world, but there is no need for us to become extremely afflicted by these inconveniences or try to dispel these inconveniences. Whilst staying here, it is necessary for us to gain an introduction to what our eternal life will be and to what entity we will attain to after all these inconveniences have been removed. Whilst staying here, it is necessary for us to gain an introduction to what our eternal life will be and to what entity we will attain to after all these inconveniences have been removed. Here it is compulsory to make decisions about all those objects which attract and repel us in various ways, both that which I want and do not want. We will be drawn by the attractions and repulsions of this place to the same degree as the amount of intervening distance there is between us and the lotus feet of Krishna. When we go beyond the attractions and repulsions of this world and are attracted by the transcendental name, then the topics about the melo of service to Krishna can be understood. At the present time, the topics about Krishna are greatly startling and perplexing. Adventitious occurrences are obstructing our eternally needed realization. To eliminate these, everyone who holds the name of a human being is more or less consciously or unconsciously engaged in a struggle to enter into the eternally needed kingdom beyond all duality is our only necessity. In this world, we do not have any attachment or aversion toward anybody. In this world, we do not have any attachment or aversion towards anybody. All the arrangements of this world are momentary. That supreme desideratum is indispensably necessary for every single person. May all of you, with one aim and in a single voice, attain the right of service, the original Ashray Vigraha. May the flow of thought of Sri Rupa's followers stream over the world. May we never, in any condition whatsoever, show aversion to the sacrifice of chanting the 7th Sankirtana of Sri Krishna. If there is ever increasing attachment for this, perfection on all sides will be achieved. May all of you, by the earnest pursuance of Sri Rupa's followers, preach the words of Sri Rupa Raghunath in a fearless voice and with supreme enthusiasm. This Grantha was written by Guru Maharaj. He used to take correspondence while he accompanied Prabhupada in Sri Chaitanya Math and everywhere he has preached. And this Grantha is a fundamental Grantha on the life and teachings of Prabhupada Saraswati Goswami Thakur. Later, many Granthas have been written based off of on this Grantha. And this Grantha was also translated by affectionate incarnate of my Guru Maharaj, Srimat Gauradas Brahmachari. 33rd chapter, I'm reading another chapter today. 33rd chapter, the specialty of his, Prabhupada's, preaching of devotional behavior along with his practice. Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad's statement to Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur is as follows. আপনে আচরে কেহ না করে প্রচার, প্রচার করে কেহ না করে আচার, আচার প্রচার নামের করহ দুই কার্য, তুমি সর্বগুরু, তুমি জগতের আর্য. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antalila, chapter 4, slok number 102 and 103. The meaning is, some people practice and do not preach. Some people preach and do not practice. You perform both activities of preaching and practicing the divine name. You are the Guru of all. You are venerable in this world. Preaching devoid of practice is lifeless. If a preacher is unable to practice what is to be preached, then it must be understood that he has not learned the subject. This type of preacher is actually inanimate, like a gramophone. If I preach, truthful words should always be spoken, but my actions give indulgence to lies, then I have learned the moral that truthful words should always be spoken. then if I preach, truthful words should always be spoken, but my actions I give indulgence to lies, then have I learned the moral that truthful words should always be spoken? The specialty of Prabhupada's preaching was this: it was replete with practice. He used to preach while personally practicing. His firmness about practice was observed since boyhood. However, the overzealousness for rules, niyama agraha, in the karma jodos martha doctrine, which is devoid of any relationship with spirituality, never found any peace in him. Anyabhilasita shunnang, jnana karma dhanavritam, anukullasa sankalpa, anukullena krishnaanusilanam bhaktiruttama. Anyabhilasita shunnang, jnana karma dhanavritam, anukullena krishnaanusilanam bhaktiruttama. The supreme type of devotion is favorable cultivation of Krishna, devoid of other desires and uncovered by fruitive action or knowledge. This verse shone brightly in his behavior and preaching. On the pretext of work, we often proclaim a lack of time for worshipping God. However, if we deliberate upon the duties of human life, then we will know that the worship of God is to be accepted as the primary duty, and all other works are to be done in a secondary manner. Is it the sign of wisdom to place the primary work in the secondary place and the secondary work in the primary place? Articles such as food are collected in order to maintain the body, and the body is maintained for the worship of God. If worship of God is not performed, what is the benefit of maintaining the body? Aradhito jadi hari tapasa tatakim naradhita jadi hari. Aradhita jadi haris tapasa tatakim naradhita jadi haris tapasa tatakim. Antar bahir jadi haris tapasa tatakim nantar bahir jadi hari tapasa tatakim. Narada Pancharatra. If Hari is worshipped, then what is the need of austerities? If Hari is not worshipped, then what is the need of austerities? If Hari is within, then what is the need of austerities? If Hari is not within, then what is the need of austerities? All activities must be made favorable to the worship of God. Actually, one's life is separated from becoming truly human by the same distance as one's life is separated from attaining holy devotional behavior. Offenseless chanting of the divine name is the best type of worship in the Kali Yuga. In this age or Yuga, if any other aspect of devotion is performed, it must be performed along with Kirtan. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once said to one servitor that apart from the hands of a man who is worth 100,000, a Lakapati, he does not accept anything from the hands of anybody else. When the servitor became dejected, he explained to him that any person who daily chants 100,000, 1 laksha, divine names with close attention is a Laksapati. One day, Srila Prabhupada was seated in Sri Chaitanya Math's Avidyaharan auditorium hall, and during discourses on Hari, he said in a very strong voice that everyone must chant at least 100,000 names of Hari daily. When a few deity worshippers made a plea of lack of time, Srila Prabhupada said in an even stronger voice that no plea will do. Every day 100,000 names of Hari must be done. Otherwise, Mahaprabhu will not accept anything. What is the value of deity worship if Mahaprabhu's service is not achieved? How many works Srila Prabhupada did how many works Srila Prabhupada did, how many books he wrote, yet he never had any lack of time for completing the full number of the divine name. In Srila Prabhupada's behavior, we can see the actual ideal of someone devoted to bhajan. Such a teacher giving instruction by direct practice and training in spiritual principles is very rarely seen. There is no doubt that by personal practice, one's life becomes successful, but it is by preaching that it can be thoroughly known to what extent the practice has become immaculate. The aspects of bhajan, which are in a disturbed condition, which surpass personal observation and remain imperceptible, are often detected by many people at the time of preaching. For this reason, practice along with preaching is especially necessary in the life of a sadhak. If one endeavors to perform solitary bhajan while in the conditioned state, the chances of attaining perfection are very small. Even though one externally stays far away from the association of people, the six enemies headed by lust do not desert the heart. This stands as an obstacle to bhajan. The type of opportunity to give up bad association of these six enemies, which comes by preaching and practicing in allegiance to a Vaishnava, is not to be had from any other method. For this reason, Srila Prabhupada would send his followers, servitors, door to door to preach holy devotional behavior coupled with practice. Some people say fame will come by preaching, therefore, it is not proper for sadhakas to preach. However, the desire for fame in the hearts of those people who endeavor to perform solitary bhajan in the conditioned state is also not small. There is no defect in the attainment of fame. To be overwhelmed by fame is a defect. A real servant of Sri Guru observes the brilliant glories of the lotus feet of his Guru in fame. He sees that fame has been brought about by the instructions bestowed at the lotus feet of Sri Guru. It has not come about by any action of mine. Therefore, understanding that it has been obtained from the lotus feet of Sri Guru, the servant of the Guru will dedicate that fame to his Guru's lotus feet. Preaching devoid of practice is lifeless, and practice devoid of preaching lacks completeness. By practice only, one's own benefit is achieved. By preaching linked with practice, benefit for other people is accomplished as well as one's own benefit. The Prakrito Sahajiya sect, who are pseudo-Gaudiyas, forgot the message of Mahaprabhu's bhajan, which consists of practice and preaching, and they were engaged secretly in immoral conduct in the name of solitary bhajan. With the might of a lion, Srila Prabhupada refuted all of that and gave instructions on Mahaprabhu's message about the process of simultaneous practice and preaching. Apart from this type of revolutionary medicine, there was no other possibility for the diseased means of malpractice to be cured. Jare dekho, tare kaho, Krishna Upadesh. Amar agnay, Guru haya, taro edesh. Give instructions about Krishna to whomever you see. By my order, become a Guru and save this land. If one bears this instruction of Mahaprabhu upon his head and thus preaches, the vanity of being a Guru will be unable to seize him. Without a doubt, the work of preaching is that of the Guru. When he gives the instruction to preach from his own mouth, then the preacher will know that in this activity, he is the servant of his own Gurudev and of Sriman Mahaprabhu, who perform the role of the universal Guru I am a servant. If this realization remains, then how can the pride of being a guru, or how can the waves of materialism engulf one? On the other hand, if one omits preaching, then Mahaprabhu's order is transgressed. A pure servant is never able to invite offense by this omission. The specialty of Srila Prabhupada's preaching was this: it was not confined only to recitations and kirtans. His preaching was opposed to the satisfying of non devotees' sense of hearing by kirtan. Kirtan is for the satisfaction of Krishna's senses, not for the satisfaction of the conditioned living being's senses. Kirtan is not performed properly until the transcendental appearance of Krishna dawns in the heart. The, the transcendental dawning of Krishna is not possible in a heart that lacks knowledge of truth. That truth is manifested by the grace of Krishna or by the grace of the Guru. By the grace of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, affectionate devotees who are submissive, inquisitive, and endowed with an attitude of service receive the nectar of truth issued from the lips of Sri Guru. After the concealment of the manifested pastimes of the influential acharyas, Srila Narottam Thakur, Srila Srinivasarja, and Srila Samananda Prabhu, the holy behavior of pure devotion was on the point of disappearing due to the predominance of the Karmajara Smartas. Great personages who were Vivektanandis gave very little attention to preaching. The unimaginable spreading of the holy devotional behavior that has occurred as a result of Prabhupada Srila Saraswati Thakur's preaching is nowadays accepted with bowed heads by all virtuous people. The huge arrangements that Srila Saraswati Thakur has made for the reinstitution of holy devotional behavior by personally preaching to the assembled intellectuals of the various states of India and some from countries outside India also, by sending his disciples from door to door, by opening Satsiksha exhibitions in various places, by establishing mosques and preaching centers of pure devotion inside and outside India, by instituting the Paravidyapit, the Sri Brajadhama Pracharani Sabha, the Daiva Varnashram Sangha, the Anukul Krishnanusulan Nagar, and Sri Chaitanya's footprints in many places, by writing many books on devotion, by publishing the old books of the Goswamis, by introducing the publication of many spiritual magazines, by making arrangements for lectures, explanation of books and films in various places, by introducing the circumambulation of Sri Dham with Sankirtan, by making provisions for lengthy festivals yearly in various mosques at various times, by uplifting many extinct holy places, and by establishing deities in many places, will forever shine as the most brilliant banner in the sky of the Gaudiyas, and will especially attract the vision of virtuous people who have insight. Nobody prior to Srila Saraswati Thakur had sent preachers outside India to preach the holy behavior of devotion. A few preachers who were endowed with the strength of his grace went to England. A few preachers who were endowed with the strength of his grace went to England, Germany, France, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and other Western countries and preached the Gaudiya Vaishnava religion with success that even exceeded hope. By the preaching of Srila Prabhupada's follower, Sripad Bhakti Hriday Bon Maharaj, who was sent overseas, two highly learned German youths came to India and took shelter at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. by showing the excellence of unalloyed devotion and the superiority of the Gaudiya's bhajan in this world, Srila Saraswati Thakur exhibited the splendor of the sun of holy devotional behavior. When Professor Albert E. Saders came to the city of Bombay in connection with his work of teaching comparative world religion at the United States of America's Ohio University, he heard about the glories of Srila Prabhupada from a few of his friends, and he went to the Calcutta Sri Gaudiya Math to be informed about the facts of various Oriental philosophies, specifically the Vaishnava philosophy from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was then staying at Krishnanagar. Professor Saders went there from Calcutta and heard discourses on Hari from Srila Prabhupada for 3 consecutive days. During that period, Srila Prabhupada clearly described by comparative considerations the excellence of the Vaishnava philosophy over the Christian philosophy, and then went on to exhibit the supremacy of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Although at the first the professor put forward a few arguments, finally he accepted every one of Srila Prabhupada's unbiased judgments as correct, and he then traveled to see Sri Dham Mayapur, the advent place of Sri Gauranga Dev, who presented the Gaudiya Vaishnava's conclusion of inconceivable identity and non-identity. At the time of leaving India, he spoke to his friends about the incomparability of Srila Prabhupada's contribution. If the discourses on Hari, which Srila Prabhupada gave as answers to the questions of intellectuals from India and abroad, were to be published as a book, the virtuous citizens of the world would receive a multifarious gem regarding the particularities of the spiritual realm. It is a matter for rejoice that the first, second, and third volumes of Srila Prabhupada's Harikathamrita have already been published from Sri Dham Mayapur, Sri Chaitanya Math, and care is being taken to publish continuing volumes. In the 17th chapter, the establishing of the eternity of the Sri Gauda Mantra by Srila Prabhupada has already been discussed. Sat Siksha exhibitions. Srila Prabhupada unveiled the following huge Sat Siksha exhibitions, spiritual or theistic exhibitions at Kurukshetra on the 4th November 1928 AD, again on the 21st August 1933 AD, and finally on the 19th June 1936 AD at Sri Dham Mayapur's Sri Chaitanya Math on the 9th February 1930 AD, at the Bagh Bazar Sri Gaudiya Math on the 6th September 1931 AD, at the old Paltan Maidan in the city of Dhaka on the 6th January 1933 AD, at Patna on the 10th November 1933 AD, at Kashi on the 24th December 1933 AD, and at Prayag on the 7th January 1936 AD. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. So we read 2 chapters. कोई कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
जय प्रभुपाद।
जय प्रभुपाद। जय प्रभुपाद। जय प्रभुपाद जिस विरोधी थी, जय श्रीमती भगवती देवी, जय श्री ठाकुर महाशय, जय सपार्षद सपरिवार श्री प्रभुपाद।